And so the first DeacTalk or presentation is from John Cooper, Remy Coeytaux, and Christy DeLarco, Acupuncture, Integrative Medicine, and Aging Well.
Thank you, Danny.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm learning so much from this symposium. It's been absolutely fantastic. Really, thank you for making this happen, and it's a real honor for us to be able to be here. For me, it's great. I really enjoy talking and about what we're about to talk about. My name is Remy Coeytaux. I'm the director of the Center for Integrative Medicine here at Wake Forest Baptist Health. I have my two friends and colleagues here who are going to have a treat for all of us in demonstrating acupuncture. I would like to just give a brief context, and I'm wondering if we could have the slides up, if possible, just as background. And if not, that's okay as well. So I'd like to introduce integrative medicine for you. Integrative medicine is a term that can mean different things to different people, but one way of looking at integrative medicine is the incorporation of holistic, natural, non-pharmacological approaches, lifestyle approaches into the care of healthcare, but also into personal care. One of the ways of looking at this is thinking of three spheres that are overlapping, one sphere representing conventional medicine, one representing self-care, and another one representing complementary and alternative health. And integrative medicine is at the intersection of all three, so it's really bringing together conventional and alternative medicine and self-care. This diagram, which, oh, thank you, and if we could have the next slide up, and I think I'm in control of that, so thank you. I have it right here. So this is the diagram, if you can see, that I was referring to. It's proposed by a really very important, one of many important alumni of Wake Forest. Dr. Wayne Jonas was a graduate of Wake Forest School of Medicine and also served as the first director of the Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine at the NIH, which has since become the National Center for Integrative Health. So it's a very important alumnus, and he just wrote a book called How Healing Works, and this is from him, so I want to give him credit for that. But it is one way of looking at integrative medicine and integrative health. One of the approaches, modalities that's used in integrative medicine is acupuncture, and that's what we would like to introduce to you. Some of you this might be a first introduction, and I welcome you to this demonstration. I'd like to introduce my colleagues, beginning with John Cooper.
Hi, so I am a Wake alum. I'm here as a Wake alum, a class of 1972. Very fortunate to be in that class, and very proud to hear comments like Dan made about Wake Forest and aging. I truly believe that Wake Forest is on the path to really be a beacon for everyone interested in new approaches and thinking about aging. And what I have learned, my Wake Forest liberal arts education allowed me in my 40s to be introduced to complementary and alternative medicine, which I knew nothing about. But I had a doctorate in education. I had university experience, so the New England School of Acupuncture thought I would be a good board member. I ended up being chair of that board. And then they persuaded me to try accreditation site visits, quality visits to schools. And I liked doing that. And I then became a public member of the Accreditation Commission for Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine that decided whether or not schools should be accredited. And I just retired last year as the associate director of that organization. So I'm not a healer, but I'm an educator. And so what I learned from talking to faculty, students, alumni, and also patients, is that about 1 in 3 Americans are looking for some new way of thinking about healthcare, some new modality in terms of healthcare. I know from talking to Dan that we both have an acupuncturist. Anybody else have used acupuncture? All right, very good. So for some of you, this may be then new. So we thought the best way to do this would be a demonstration of acupuncture. I'm also an advocate for the Center for Integrative Medicine. Wake Forest was among the very first group that became a member of the consortium for academic centers that had an interest in integrative medicine. And their services now extend beyond acupuncture. We're demonstrating acupuncture, but also has mind-body therapies, healing trust, healing touch. So Remy and his colleagues work side by side with Western medicine providers to treat the whole person. So my first acupuncture interview was 2 hours. That's not typical in healthcare. A normal treatment is probably going to spend 45 minutes. My acupuncturist clearly knows more about me than any other health giver. I see her maybe once a month. So it's a different experience. We're going to just give you a very short idea here today of what a treatment should be. I wanted to mention, too, that it extends beyond those of us in this room, potentially. So when my beloved golden retriever was dealing with cancer, his mobility was improved by water therapy and acupuncture. So it's a different mindset. So I mentioned to my PCP, who happened to be a couple of years older than me, that when I played golf, I had this knee problem, and I had to take an ibuprofen. He is a distinguished physician. He's on the faculty of Harvard Medical School, but his response to me was, I take 2 ibuprofen. Well, it wasn't the reaction of my acupuncturist. So my acupuncturist had a different reaction, and I can now play golf without taking ibuprofen. So today my complaint is my neck. If I turn to back the car up or park this way, there's some pain there. It could be the stress of having to speak before a large group, but there's something going on here. And so Christy, who is not only an experienced acupuncturist, a graduate of one of the most prestigious acupuncture schools in New York City, but is also heading toward a doctorate in the field. So I think now I can turn it to you. Okay.
Sure. Well, I don't need that.
Oh, you don't do that, sorry.
Thank you. Welcome, Christy. John, make yourself comfortable here in the demonstration chair. And any moment now, we will be receiving our acupuncture needles that are being delivered to us any moment now. But in the meantime...
So if somebody comes in complaining of neck pain, essentially what we're going to do in Chinese medicine, we consider anytime there's pain in an area, it means there's too much energy congested there. So we want to free that up. So most people come in and they say, well, wait a minute, aren't you going to put some needles right here? That's where it hurts. But essentially, we look at energy flows as following pathways, or meridians, people call them. It's essentially just a pathway or almost like a riverbed. It can start shallow and run deep. So I would ask, does the neck pain, is it predominantly on one side or the other? This
on my
side.
right side, yes.
Okay, so then I would just feel some areas and ask, tell me what feels most tender. That was 1, 2, or 3.
3.
Okay, so that would let me know that it's mostly involving the gallbladder channel. It's just a channel pathway. So what I would do is I would mostly work on this side of the body. And I'm going to start with some acupressure since we don't have needles yet. And anybody in the audience who has neck pain, essentially what you're going to do is on the opposite side of your pain, run your finger just over the knuckle of the first index finger and press down. And as you're pressing down, which I'm going to do here for John, I'm going to say, go ahead and just move your neck side to side and stop as soon as there's any tension. So this bone from here to here, you can kind of feel the 2 rises, that corresponds to the spine. So you can do at both ends will correspond to the neck. So just some deep pressure and move. Obviously, if we were using needles, I would be stimulating the needle as he's moving his neck from side to side. Additionally, I would do some points on his lower leg And I'm going to have you just rest up here so you can be nice and relaxed. And the same thing. So I would place the needle and stimulate it and have John just move and see if things are loosening up at all. Sometimes people describe it as a lightening. They feel lighter in the area of pain. And then it gradually moves to a greater range of motion and pain relief. So this type of treatment that we call a distal treatment generally gets results in about 85 to 90% of people at the time of treatment or within 24 hours. I would also use points on the same side, essentially that are the same and corresponding channels to draw the energy away. So sometimes when we talk about energy, people feel it's a little bit new agey. And I tell people, think about when you have a really stressful day and by the time you come home, your shoulders are up by your ears and you're so tense. And if you just and let it go, you can literally feel everything relax. That pent up energy is all we're talking about. That's your energy. So often people experience pain as being intensified when they're under stress or anxiety. Acupuncture, no matter what you're coming in for, is generally an incredibly relaxing and restful experience. So essentially any condition that is exacerbated or made worse when you're having a stressful or bad or anxious day, acupuncture can help with. And remember, this is a whole system of medicine in Southeast Asia. So it's not just for pain, it's for overall body wellness.
Would you also be likely to sneak in some stress-related kinds of approaches since I'm speaking to this big crowd?
So essentially, any points are going to be stress-related points. Yeah, we can do some, obviously if you have...
My favorite is right here.
Oh, yes.
It's a great point. It really is.
That's easy to access on there.
Obviously, if you have anxiety, we're not going to use exactly the same points as if you have back pain or neck pain or digestive issues or menstrual irregularities or menopausal symptoms or memory problems. They're different sets, but all of them still have a relaxing effect.
I think we should go. Chrissy, thank you very much. And John,
Thank you.
I'm going to volunteer you for a demonstration off stage later, like maybe right after the last of the DeacTalks. It's my bad. I'm really sorry. I thought I had the needles. I didn't. And I thought we'd have them delivered in time, and I'm really sorry about this. But we will have them soon. And so maybe after the DeacTalks, we'll get a little demonstration. You can come and see what they're really like. I just want to ask for the slide. Thank you for having the video, by the way. That was fabulous, the camera. But if we can go back to the final slide. That's the picture of the size of the needle. Give you a relative size, very small. Thank you very much, Kyle. I really, really appreciate this. A nurse manager for our integrative medicine clinic, and I really appreciate you coming at this last minute. So yes, thank you. And finally, I just want to give you the history of acupuncture to let you know how it was developed. And so if I could have the last slide, please, so that you know how acupuncture came about. One more slide, please. And that is there. Now you know. The mammoth is being spared and goes, oh, suddenly my neck feels better. So thank you all very, very, very much.